Hello and welcome to Really Cool People, a podcast produced by Schweitzer Church. I'm your host, Jason Leininger. This is a place to hear stories of really cool people. The hope is that you and I, in hearing these stories, will be inspired, encouraged, and challenged through moments of serendipity. In a sermon entitled The Weight of Glory, C.S. Lewis said, "There are no ordinary people. You and I have never talked to a mere mortal." It's my joy over the next few moments to introduce you to somebody who may seem rather ordinary, especially to themselves, and yet they're a really cool person. Today, we're going to meet Wendell Shepard. Wendell loves singing choral music, and he's going to share about where that love for choral and vocal music of all kinds, where it came about. He's also going to share and speak to the reality that he's at the stage of life where he's getting ready to move out of the home that he's lived in for many years and move into a next stage of life. We're grateful that Wendell came in and shared his story. I invite you to lean in and listen to Wendell Shepard. Wendell, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start with your story.
All right. What do you want me to start when I was 4? Or how about maybe 6 or 10?
Or maybe when you were born.
I was born July 3rd, 1940, in a farmhouse on a farmland in southern Iowa, which is where I stayed until I was in high school at the age of 14, at which time I moved in with one of my grandmas in the town where my high school was, because the school I had was a one-room country school. We had 8 levels of education in that same category, in that same room. And it was it was probably a okay place to go get educated. It wasn't wonderful. By the time I got to high school, I was scared to death.
Scared of what?
Of being around people I'd never seen before, being in large classrooms instead of a little bitty one room with 15 or 20 kids. That was the difference. And actually, it turns out the first class I had that really got me out of whack was what do you call that? It's all about math and so forth. And I very nearly flunked the first time as a freshman.
Is that algebra?
No, it's I can't tell you the name.
Trigonometry?
Yeah, that was it. Anyway, I got through it. Anyway, that was over with, and I was kind of introduced to the rest of the world, except for one category, which was really a gigantic disappointment for me. I weighed, I think, 95 pounds, and I was like, well, just barely 5 feet tall, skinny little runt, And I went down to the football place where you sign up to play football, and they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't even let me in the building. What did I do wrong? You're not going to play football here. You're way too little. So what can I do? Well, I guess you could go play basketball. Okay, I'll do that. Unfortunately, I got the same response. Wendell, you may be 14 and you may be this, but you're so short. Have you had any experience in well, no, not at a country school. Well, then you just need to go home and tell your mom you need to find a different way to live your life here other than education. I said, okay, well, I'll tell Mom, but she's going to be all upset about it. Well, guess what? She wasn't upset. Wendell was upset. She told me, and I've told this story so many times. She told me, Wendell, you go back to school tomorrow morning, get on the bus and go back down there. And when you get off the bus, go in that first door on the right-hand side. Still today, I remember that. And I said, so where do I go when I get in there? She said, you turn right when you get inside in the lobby, and you'll see a building that says music room. Really? Music room? She said, yes. Well, I play piano. I don't do music. And I did by that time. I was a piano player. And so I went in there, and that lady said, "Wendell, I don't know you, and I've never heard you sing, but you're going to start singing here in the bass, on the bass side. We do all four parts of music." And so I said, "Well, I've never done that." She says, "That doesn't matter. You know how to play the piano, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I went to the bass section, and that's what I did the whole time I was in high school. And right on down the road, every place I went, either whether it was in college or it was in some church somewhere, which was where we went a lot of times. We went to church all the time, but anyway, and I began to like it. And so I went home one day and I told Mom, "You know what? This is the best thing I ever did." Today, it still gets me right here. The reason that it was so much fun was because prior to getting in high school, we went to this one-room country church next door to the one-room country school. And my mom was a singer. And she not only was a singer, she was a singer who had zero music education, but she had a normal talent. I'll never forget it. Every Sunday morning, we'd start singing, and I'd be right beside her. I wouldn't sit with my dad. I'd sit with my mom. The dad was usually doing something else. Anyway, so I could hear her voice, which was that kind of voice, which is what they call alto, second from the highest level in the women's side. And it just sounded so nifty because it was different than everybody else. And I'd never heard it before. I didn't know such a thing existed. Oh, I was really thrilled with it. And by the time I got to high school and got forced into going into the vocal music, I began to realize this can be a real joy. And it certainly was. It lasted my entire years at high school and on and on and on and on. And to keep it going, to get towards the bottom line here after a bit, I hope. To get to the bottom line here, it was when I got I decided I was in my last year at the university at North Missouri State in Kirksville, Missouri. I had like 20 hours left to graduate, which was not a music education. It was a business education. But it kind of got to where I just was really tired of it, and blah, blah, blah. And so, what am I going to do now? So, and bottom line to that story is that it had me get into other places to sing because I'd been into this place and that place and that place. And that sent me into the Air Force. That's the story I was headed to. I was going to go to the Air Force, go over there and do my 4 years, and then I'll come back and finish up my degree. Well, guess what? As soon as I landed in Germany, Wiesbaden, Germany, by the way, a 20-minute boat train ride.
Okay.
Train ride. They had trains over there then. When I got off the airplane and landed in Germany, coming from New York City, by the way, which was a big thrill for what I was, by that time, I guess I was 21 the day I landed. Yeah. But anyway, soon as I got to the office where I was supposed to check in, they said, we do have the University of Maryland area if you want to go back to school. I said, "You do?" He said, "Yeah, we have a regular campus here. You can take anything you want. We have it all." "You pay for it too?" "Sure." Well, of course, I've been paying my own way all this time. Well, that was thrilling. So the very next day, I went down to the University of Maryland and signed up, and I never stopped the whole time I was there. Unfortunately, I couldn't go full time because I had an Air Force job that was a full time job. So I took usually 1 or 2 classes at a time, and I picked up a whole bunch of hours that I didn't pay for.
Did you end up getting a degree from the University of Maryland then?
No. Here's the rest of the story. Let's see, I forgot how many hours I had, but I needed 20 more. And I'm trying to remember exactly how that happened. They paid me to go. They didn't pay me to go. They paid for me to go.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, being the money idiot that I was, I decided I needed a part-time job other than just the Air Force, which was a real nice, easy job that I had. So I got this part-time job doing stuff, and I was spending as much time for doing that as I was anything else. So I didn't get my 20 hours in. Well, so now we're down to it's time to go back to America. I had a 7-year contract with the Air Force. It was 4 years active and then 3 more. If they decide they want me, they can call me and I have to go. And about that time was the beginning of all things, Vietnam. It was just getting started. Every day the phone rang. I thought, oh my God, it's going to be Vietnam. Well, it never was. I was very fortunate. I call it fortunate. They were constantly, when I was in Germany, they were every month they were begging me to go back to the university, not there, but to be what do you call it, a high-level person.
An officer?
Officer, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is another stupid time that I said no. So anyway, so I got out of there, but and eventually had to come back to America, which I did. But there's one more sidebar here. I don't know where I got that term, sidebar. Anyway, it is that if you really want to have a good time and live in this country, get hooked up with a group of singers that you maybe can make a double quartet out of them or something, and that's what we did. Me and 3 other American military people, and there was 8 of us altogether. So 3 more, yeah. And then the other half of the double quartet were all German fellas. They were in military also. We got together. We created a concert, so to speak, and we sang all over Europe.
Really?
All over Europe on weekends. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Huh.
How much money did we make? We didn't make a dang nickel. We really didn't care. We were having such a good time.
Did people at least pick up your expenses, or did you have to pay for those yourself?
We usually drove ourselves around. Yeah. I don't know why they would. We'd just call up different places, anything from a bar to a church.
At least you didn't have to pay to sing, did you?
No, we didn't have to pay to sing. We were just there for what I'm in music for now, for the fun. I have other sources of income, and I did there too. So that just really worked out great, and I have the final story that I have. We got a call one day from a NATO person, because every place we were the NATO companies or countries, and asked if we could come to their convention in West Berlin this particular time of year, or whatever it was. I think it was in the summertime. Wanted to know if we would come there and sing all of the American military songs. Well, holy cow, yeah, we can do that. We already know how to do that. Even the German guys knew it, because we would sing them in other places. So that's what we did. And again, once again, we got a huge, giant thank you. Oh, by the way, they paid for our hotel the night over. Yeah.
Okay.
And they also paid for the airline ticket. I forgot about that. From Wiesbaden to West Berlin. Yeah. It's just a wonderful story.
Hmm.
Just a wonderful story.
How many siblings did you have growing up?
2,
Two.
a boy and a girl.
Were you the oldest?
No, I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. Today, my sister is the youngest. She's 51. I'm 84. My brother passed away when he was 85, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Your sister's 51?
Yes, she is. Yep.
That's a lot younger than you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Is that right? That doesn't make sense. No, I'm
Or
sorry.
she 81?
My sister's 81. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
That makes sense.
My daughter's 51.
There you go.
Thank you. You must be a whatever you are.
I'm 52. That's why I'm like doing the math on that going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I've rounded it out as about as good as I can.
Well, let me ask you some other questions. Then you can you can just talk from there. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that. So you grew up was it a farm?
It was
in rural Iowa.
Yes.
And the one-room schoolhouse that you went to.
Yes.
Really one room.
Yes, really one room.
And about 12 to 15, 16 students in it.
It was.
And all grades from first grade to eighth grade.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I graduated, 8th grade.
What was it like to be in these classes? I mean, you went through it the whole time, but what was it like to be in classes with people older than you, younger than you, and that whole ball of wax?
Well, it was something that, of course, in the beginning, you really had to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
You had to learn how to respond when the leaders asked you the questions instead of just blabbering out, talking anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
You had to quit that right quick. That was a chore. That was a big chore. It was probably hard on the learning process too, I would say. After having gone to that thing, by the time I got to what was called a real high school, I just felt like I wasn't anywhere near ready to be doing this. But I didn't have a choice. That's just the way life is.
Yeah.
That's the way it was
Yeah.
way back then. So yeah,
was there indoor plumbing in the one-room schoolhouse, or was there an outdoor commode?
I remember we had an indoor furnace. That's not your question, I
Yeah,
know. But,
right. Yeah.
I can't read. I think we had to go outside to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Did you have a common playground out there or something like that?
We did. Mm-hmm.
And then what'd you do for lunch?
Took it. Your mom had to make it for you,
Mm-hmm.
or you did. Somebody had to make it. They didn't supply any kind of food there whatsoever. My dad was one of the leading guys
Mm-hmm.
in it. But anyway, yeah, we didn't have we had to go outside to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Then you went to was it a county school, high school, or just a district with?
It was a high school in a town of 5,000 people.
Okay.
Which was 20-some miles away from where we lived. So we had to go on the buses
Mm-hmm.
to get there. It was run by the town,
Mm-hmm.
Centerville, Iowa is the name of it. It's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a place where after I graduated from high school, the 2-year college, they called it. That's what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to that, and it was pretty boring. It wasn't much more difficult than high school.
Huh.
But I went through it, and I got through it, and graduated, and then I moved to North Missouri State.
Yeah. How many kids did you graduate high school with?
142. That's
pretty good size class.
It was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was, and And up until this past year, I've gone to every get together we've ever had on every 2 or 3 years
Mm-hmm.
we'd get together. And they just kept dying off and dying off. They probably think I died off, but I didn't. We've had from that high school, not necessarily the little school, but the high school, we've had quite a few people who have gone on to much bigger and better things. I can't tell you every one of them, but I know there's quite a few.
Yeah.
There were a couple of folks that actually became somewhat famous that were in the entertainment business. And then the rest of them were really sharp people were professors in universities.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He just resigned not very long ago. He's the same age as I am. So I'm one of the long-term workers. There's two reasons that I am still there.
Still working?
Still working.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is because I really have enjoyed it. If sometimes days would go by and you wouldn't make a big pile of money because you're on commission all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the longer you're in there, that kind of disappears and you get to be regular and you can make a decent living. I finally got to, at this sales business, I got to well over $100,000 a year up until COVID came around. And that began to change. And when that came around, my wife, Mary Louise, you probably remember her.
I do.
Yeah. She finally got sick and had to go to the hospital. She was there for 30 days. And I'll never forget it. She'd never been an ill person, but she was really ill. Scared me to death. We got her in there. She stayed there for a whole month, and then they sent her to a nursing home. And she was there for 4 years. And she kind of got better, sort of. She got rid of some of the worst things that she had, except dementia. That is what took her down the hill all the way. I'd go in there to visit her every day. And that's when my career really was suffering severely. Only from the standpoint I wasn't making much money anymore. And I wasn't making much money because I go see her every darn day. I go with her and have lunch with her. Was the food great? No, it was pitiful. But some days it was okay, and we remained alive. I mean, we didn't starve to death by any means. And they were really, really nice people. They still are. If I have to go in nursing home someday, that's exactly where I'm going to go.
Okay.
Yes, I'll tell you that right now.
You didn't tell us when you and Louise met.
We met on a blind date after I returned from Germany. A friend of hers had a man friend who was a friend of mine. We actually went to high school and college together, me and this guy. So he was dating this lady, and so he was telling her about Wendell. And it was shortly thereafter that we met. I thought she was a pretty cute kid. She was pretty nice.
What'd she think of you?
She didn't like me.
Why not?
I have no idea. She's the first lady I ever met. She didn't tell me. She told her friend that invited me that she didn't. She said, "I don't like that guy." What? What's nothing wrong with him? So that friend's friend told me that Mary Louise didn't like me. Well, I'll fix that sucker. I do it right on the phone. I said, "This is Wendell." "Who?" "That's Wendell." "Yeah, what can I do for you? You want to have dinner tonight?" Silence. I thought, oh, I'm done for. She finally said, oh, I guess. You come and get me? I said, yeah, I'll come get you. I still had my German Volkswagen Bug at the time.
Huh.
So that's what we went in. And then it just kind of kept going from there, got better and better and better. And it turned out beautiful. 60 years.
That's a long time for somebody who first impression isn't very good.
I don't know what I did wrong that day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was too forward or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a spot in the road where we say we need more than the first impression.
It could be.
Yeah.
Sure. Easily.
What did you like to do together?
Which is what we did even long after we got married. We had two favorite things to do. One was short traveling trips, and the other one was going to shows, live shows, music or otherwise, Springfield or Branson or wherever we could find the live shows. I think we saw every show in Branson that they used to have. And we've been, I've been part of Springfield Symphony as a full-time, fully paid guy. She never did like it, but we went to other kind of music shows that we both liked. And that's what we like to do. Then we always had, and basically because of the church, which really didn't start up until, I don't know, 20 years ago when we got going back to Schweitzer. We just had friends all the time that we would go to dinner with, or we'd go to their house, or they'd come over to our house, and we just had tons of friends here, and we did the whole time we were here. And she didn't really like that town; it was too darn big. But she got over it real quick. I'm talking about Springfield.
Springfield, really?
Yeah. I know we don't have everything perfect here, but we have an awful lot of offerings.
Where did she grow up?
Where? She was born in, actually, Kirksville, Missouri.
Okay.
Her mom was a teacher there. And then after a few years, they moved to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And there's where she went to the rest of elementary. And then her dad decided he didn't like it there anymore, so they moved back to Kirksville. And that's where she went to high school and college, both. So, yeah, quite a story.
Where did you two meet?
Where?
Yeah.
Actually, we met at I think it was a restaurant somewhere. That's where they sent us.
Up north in Kirksville, or?
No, we met in Kirksville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, Kirksville. Sometimes where am I now?
Yeah.
You ever think of that?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's where we met. And we would go with some friends. We'd go to maybe a bar. She didn't care much about drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she'd order something now and then, but not very often. And I was, I liked to drink beer way back then. I never did when I was a young guy. I don't know if there are other people that maybe came from a farm community like me. It just didn't seem to be right to be doing that. It's illegal when you're not old enough. You might go to jail if you got caught.
Yeah.
But it just never interested me. And actually, the first time I ever had one was in Germany, where I landed there in Wiesbaden. Well, those people, they like to have breakfast with a beer. Oh, my God. That just sounded awful to me. And it is awful. I never did get used to that.
Oh my.
Yeah. I'd have them later on in the day, but not for breakfast.
Huh.
Oh, Lordy. Anyway, that's my story there, sir. Anything? Did you have some more questions?
Yeah, I do. I've got a lot of questions.
Well, I'm here to answer.
Okay. So, how many kids did you and Mary Louise have?
We ended up with 3. 2 of them we adopted. 2 boys. They're still our boys. And then I think the youngest boy was somewhere around maybe 6 or 7. Both the boys were 0 when we got them.
Mm-hmm.
They were just born. I think he was around 6 or 7. Oh my God, something's wrong. What's wrong? I don't feel right. I said, what's the matter? And she told me all this details about how they get when they get children.
Mm.
You might want to go to the doctor. Yes, I think I do. And when she came home, she told me, I think I went with her. She told me, we're going to have a baby. A what? I couldn't believe it. Yep, that's what's going to happen. When? Well, 9 months, I guess. So anyway, that was number 3. And that turned out really good too. Yeah, really good. I'm just here to tell you right now. The 2 boys were marvelous children. We did just like I was raised, which was no matter what, you went to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such a thing as an excuse, even at a small country church. That's the way it was. So that's what we did. We took the boys and the little girl all the way up. I think the boys were probably 17 or 18 when they finally quit going to church. And Wendy, I'm not sure. Probably a little farther than that, but I really don't know. All 3 of them were active in all kinds of stuff all the time. And I don't know what happened. I've heard that story so many times from friends of ours. Well, finally, the oldest boy, I think probably 10 or 15 years ago, he and his wife started going to a church. What church? Well, I can't really tell you the name of it, but I can tell you this. I said, what's that? He said, well, they're a bunch of whole really nice people. Well, that's good. And they're all black. And I said, black? Yeah. Is that all right with you? Oh, sure, that's fine. Nothing wrong with black people. No, there's nothing wrong with black people. I never did think there was. We didn't ever have such things when I was a little kid out in the country. Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they were. They weren't there. And he's been there. He and his wife have been there ever since. And as far as I know, they go all the time.
Huh.
The next one, Patrick, that has actually never gone back. I don't know if he's an atheist or if you ask him that question. No, I won't ask him if he's an atheist. If he wants to tell me that, he will, but he won't tell me because he know I won't like it. But anyway, and then Wendy has not gone back either. She said, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with whether I believe in church or not. And I said, well, then some reason you don't go? Well, yeah, I have reasons. And she has been, she couldn't have been a better daughter than anybody ever had. She's been such a joy to me in helping me do this and do that, especially since I had all this stuff that I've had. Anyway, she's an educated person also. She has her master's degree. She has, she's been working at Central High School for 18 years, I think it is. 18 or 20. So I guess you'd have to say she's done okay.
Did you ever get your undergrad degree?
No, I never did.
You had lots of hours, but never got it.
Never got it.
Okay.
Yes, it's every time I think about it, it makes me mad at myself. And it doesn't do a darn bit of good.
No.
And you know what? Turns out that I ended up making a very good living as it is.
Uh-huh.
When I was interviewed with the first sales job that I had, they said, I guess you have a bachelor's degree. And I said, well, no, I've got a little more time to go. They never said a word about it. And they called me up, I guess, a week or two later and said, we're ready to hire you. I said, oh, hallelujah. When's that? Well, when can you get down there? Where I got to go? Little Rock. And I said, okay, Little Rock will be fine. And we got it. And we got, it just turned out fine. What is the bad part is I had a plan and I never finished the plan. That is not the way I've spent my life. Any other plans I had, I did it till the very end till I got it accomplished, especially in sales like this. I finally got well over $100,000 a year. I don't know if I already told you that or not.
You mentioned it. Yeah.
Did I mention it? And for a little farm boy to make that kind of money, that was just out of sight.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the story.
What was your sales? What kind of sales did you run in?
What product or what money?
Yeah. Well, what was the business that you were selling?
I was selling to companies who were buyers of two categories of product. One of them was called a pressure sensitive label.
Okay.
Nowadays, when I sell them, they're about that square. What prior to all of the stuff in the computer world,
Yeah.
that's when this was created. Prior to that, our labels were something that we would print people's names on, their company names, or there were always all kinds of reasons for it. And that's what labels were all about. And then the custom printed business forms at the beginning was about paychecks,
Mm-hmm.
Invoices,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a whole bunch more. And I made a pile of money on that stuff too.
Did you ever run a printing press?
I never did.
You just sold the stuff that other people ran.
Yep. I was the guy that told the people how to create their special labels or their special checks. If they didn't know how to do it, then my part of my job was to help them design their stuff.
Huh.
That wasn't an easy side of it, but it was a side of it that once you got this done for your people, your customers, you got to keep them because you'd already done a big giant favor for them, I guess was the reason. I thought it was a big giant favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about early on, you mentioned that you played the piano.
Yes, I do.
But when you went into the music class in high school, they put you in the choir. So did you continue to play the piano?
I did. I continued playing the piano up until I was 35 years old. I finally had to quit doing on a routine basis after I went to Europe. But yes, my world became more vocal music than it was piano, and which was kind of sad. I hate to say this live and in person, but I was pretty darn good at the piano.
Really?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, when I was in high school and college, in the first
Uh-huh.
first years, I played in dance bands and things like that. Yeah, I did. Sometimes we made money when we do dance band stuff. We even won the world championship in the state of Iowa in my second or third year of college at a competition. It was worldwide
Huh.
competition. We got invited to the final deal in Des Moines, Iowa, the big city up there. And it was what do I call it? Oh yeah. We ended up winning the whole darn thing. And we got a big giant
Trophy?
trophy. It was called a CD. Not the kind you spin, it's the kind that's this big as a square
Yeah.
with our music on it.
Huh.
Yeah. That was a disappointing win, but it was not really. It was exciting that we won it, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I've just got too many tales to tell.
That's okay. So I mean, you talked about playing and talked about singing, and you've sung for a long time.
I have.
So do you have any favorite standards that you love to sing?
Yes, and it's a standard that really didn't really fit into where I actually came from. My favorite vocal music that I hear is, I call it, what's it called? It's music. It has to do with religion. There are lots of singing groups around the country that do this. I can't think of the word. Sacred music.
Okay.
And it's not the kind that's boring. It's the kind that has a lot of get up and go to it.
Like gospel?
Yes, gospel. That's the word.
Mhm.
I love that gospel music. And I tried for decades to get involved in it. Well, I'll tell you, people that do that kind of work are pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing close to it that I ever got to was barbershop music. I did that for 35 years
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis. But that kind of music is really my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I love classical. I love all kinds of it, but that kind of music sets you alive. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah. It's just amazing.
I do.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your faith. You mentioned, you started going to church when you were a little kid. You went there, listened to your mom sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did faith become like something that was integral to you and not just something that you did?
Well, actually, it hung on to me long after I left home. Went to school and all that stuff. And then when I got in the Air Force, it was still there. And it turns out that I ended up with some really good friends, and we, generally speaking, we went to Sunday morning church.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where we were at the time, what city we were in, and blah, blah, blah. And it just stayed there. And it was just as important to go then as it was when I was a young man. I just always found that's really interesting, I think. You'd think you could have done what my kids sort of did. At least it looks like they just dumped it. But they had the same background that I did. And I don't understand that. But that's my answer. So there.
What do you look forward to these days?
Going to rehearsals and coming to church on Sunday, to Schweitzer Church. Singing in the choir, singing in the men's ensemble, listening to you and your co-preachers. I had a hard time getting with, what's his name? Main man? Spencer in the beginning. For the same reason my wife did, but I overcame it, and that was the speed. at which he spoke, he would just go flying by. I said, "What did he say?" But after keep continuing to go and go and go, I realized finally, you just got to pay closer attention. It's that he must be doing okay. We got all kinds of people here.
Mhm.
There's a reason for it. It's not just the music, although it had something to do with it, I think. So that's my answer to that question. It's just never gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
When you think over the course of your life, what kinds of pieces of advice have you received that you found helpful?
well, one of them has to do with the fact that I never got my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
If you have a really good reason for not doing it, that's your problem, not mine. But if you do have a reason, you could have gone on and done it. There were lots of times I could have gone on and done it. And people kept saying, "Why don't you go ahead and finish that?" Well, I have this job now and I'm making $10,000 a year and blah, blah, blah. But we still go to church all the time. And we still don't commit sins. As far as I know. I don't think that's quite true, is it?
Depends.
Well, it does, yeah. Not what we call bad stuff. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, that's one category that I would suggest. It's a very important thing to do. You start a project, be sure you get it over with, one way or the other. You know how happy I would have been with myself if I'd have done that, even though I had a job. In fact, I never. This is my other side of it. I never sounds like a braggart guy. I guess I am. I never had a day in my life after I started working. Not one day I was ever without a job. I don't think that's quite right, but that's the truth.
Did you ever take a vacation?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yes, we did vacations. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We traveled all the way to the West Coast a time or two, and to the East Coast, here, there, and everywhere in Canada. We went to Mexico once for 5 minutes. No, we did better than that. We went to some place in Mexico that was a nice place. Can't think of the name of it. But anyway, we did that too. So we did a lot of stuff, a lot of vacations. Yeah. The first cruise we ever went on, we had really a different kind of response to it. And there was a day that I still followed my father's advice. Don't spend money on something you don't already have the money for. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and my charming wife decided we want to go on a cruise. How much is it going to cost, Wendy? Wendell, she say. Well, it's going to be about $3,000. Oh my God, $3,000. Yes, yes, it is. What are we going to do? Oh, I've got a credit card. I think it's worth $5,000 or $6,000. I'll just put it on that. No, I did, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that way, but I did, and I got it paid off, of course. But what a story it was. Anyway, we went with some friends and relatives and so forth. And we had a really good time. Traveled all over the southern part of the waters south of here. So, and one of my things of life that I really always thought I wanted to do was go to Canada on a cruise up there, but I never did make it. I guess I could go now if I wanted to, but
there's nothing stopping you.
No, there isn't.
No.
Nope.
There's not.
I could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When are you going to totally retire?
I'm thinking it's going to be the end of March.
Okay.
I'm going to try to start moving into my apartment Sunday.
You're leaving your house?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm leaving my house. My son and his lady will be there. They're moving out also. And when they get moved out, then we'll put the house on the market.
Okay.
So,
Where's the apartment at?
Glendale Gardens,
Okay.
you know where that is? That's where Mary Louise was when,
Okay.
when she was in
So you have an apartment over there?
there's an apartment building next door,
Mm-hmm.
which belongs to Glendale Gardens.
Yeah.
The reason I'm there is because it's a one-room apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be me only
Mm-hmm.
for the first time, almost always, since I was a kid.
Hmm.
But I was over there so many times when Mary Louise was over there.
Mm-hmm.
I know just about everybody that walks in the door. So there's plenty of people over there to get acquainted with
Yeah.
that I already know, really.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. But,
Wendell, thanks for coming in.
oh, hey, I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing bits and pieces of your life with us,
Yeah.
the story of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
A big thank you to Wendell for sharing his story. In listening today, I hope that you were inspired, encouraged, and challenged, and that you begin to behold the really cool people around you. The Really Cool People podcast is produced by Schweitzer Church, Springfield, Missouri. Taylor Likes is our executive producer and editor, and I'm your host, Jason Leininger. You can help us out by liking, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. Until next time, stay cool.